Hello everybody, my name is Patrick, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my film camera collection. Let me first start off by saying that it's not really a collection. Rather, to me, it's more of like a set of tools that I use to get whatever job I need done. I have a feeling this is going to be a longer video, so grab a cup of coffee or whatever and hang out with me. Also, let me just say that as I'm going through this whole list of cameras, I'm not going to be talking about them in any particular order whatsoever. And I'm going to be doing a two-part series of this whole thing. This whole first part is going to be based solely on 35mm, while part 2 is going to be based on medium format and large format. And I'm hoping to release that next week sometime. But let's just jump right into it. I don't want to take too much of your time. The first camera that we're going to be looking at here is my very first camera that I ever got, which was the Nikon FE. It's a great camera. It feels great in your hand. This was my very first 35mm camera, and I got it from my dad after begging him for so long to use it when I was like 11 or 12, and finally he just said, fine, just take it, try to figure out what you're doing. And I had no idea what I was doing. In fact, I had no idea what shutter speed or aperture or even how to really focus, but I was young and I was just playing around with it often with my friends, and here's a couple photos from that. So the second camera that we're going to be talking about today is my Leica M2. As you can see here, I've got the Leica 28mm Elmarit version 3, and I also have the external 28mm viewfinder. I've got that because in a Leica M2 there are no 28mm frame lines, but even if there were, I still prefer to use the external finder. It's just a lot brighter and more reliable in terms of composing things. Very basic, utilitarian, the most basic out of all of the Leica M mount film cameras. And this one's even more basic because it does not have the self timer, and or it also doesn't have the rewind button. Instead, it has just a simple lever right here. And for me, in my opinion, this version of the M2 is the most aesthetically pleasing. It plays into the idea of the M2, but instead of showing you pictures that I've taken with the Leica M2 body, I'm just going to show you some photos that I've taken with the 28mm Elmarit. Following up the Leica M2, we've got the Leica M4-P. As you can see on here, I've got the 40mm Summicron version C, or I don't know, I think that stands for their CL camera that it came out with, but I actually had the Leica 35mm Summicron spherical. To me, it was just way too clinical, it was just way too clean, and it didn't really offer a lot of character, so I ended up selling that and I picked up this 40mm Summicron, and this thing is honestly just insane. It is so small on the entire camera body, and I'm pretty sure it's the smallest Leica M mount lens that there is. I put this whole thing in my jacket pocket and take the whole thing with me all through the winter. At least I have this winter. So anyways, if you haven't seen my video on the Leica M4-P and why I think it has more unique features and could be potentially better than the Leica M6, I'm gonna put a video description, or I'm gonna put the link for that in the video description, so check that out. Now I'm gonna show you some photos from the 40mm Summicron. Okay, so this next camera in my user collection is the Nikonos IV-A. Anyways, this is a great camera to take for traveling. You can throw it in your bag, you can take it anywhere. If you bump it on the side of a table or something like that, it is going to be 100% fine. It is very robust, so it's great for travel, and also great if you're going to be going swimming, of course. And so I took this camera with me to Jamaica, and I'm going to show you some pictures of that. So the next camera we have here is a cult classic. It's the Olympus Stylus. And as you can see here, it's extremely tiny, very, very compact. And its design, not being very boxy, instead being kind of more oval shaped, makes it really easy to slip in and out of your pocket. So you can take it really pretty much anywhere with you. Right now there's the huge hype about the point and shoots like Contax T2 or T3, Yashica T4, or even the Olympus Stylus Epic, but honestly, if you're looking for a good camera, just a really basic point and shoot to get that cool point and shoot aesthetic, then this camera is going to be honestly perfect for you. And it's not overpriced, and if it breaks in a year or two, you're not gonna be crying about it either, because you only spent, $80 to $100 on something like this, and do not spend more than that. The lens is razor sharp, and here are a couple pictures that I've taken with this camera. the last camera within my toolkit is the Widelux. Which is a very interesting camera. It's a panoramic camera that shoots very, very, very wide images. Actually, the pictures that this camera produces, the swing lens is so wide that if your hand is actually right here, your fingers will end up being in the photo, which is pretty crazy. So let me just take a picture for you. The way that you want to hold this kind of camera is by putting your hand underneath here. I just rest my hand under here and then I use my middle finger to press the shutter. So you definitely have to take a picture like that. You can't do this. You will make the mistake when you first get this camera by putting your hand here for a couple pictures, and then you're gonna get your negatives back and you're gonna see your fingers creeping in on the edge of the frame. So be careful about that. One other thing that's really interesting about this camera is, or in my opinion, one thing that's cooler about this camera is the way that the actual panoramic looks. So, you know, everyone wants a Hasselblad X-Pan right now. I would say that the Widelux is a much more interesting alternative, because when you take a picture on the Hasselblad X-Pan, it has a very level, clean image. It doesn't have any distortion whatsoever, but the Widelux ends up bending a little bit. It bends, it adds a little bit of distortion or warping, which people are probably like thinking, oh, I don't want that. I want my images to be super clean. But honestly, in my opinion, when you see images that have that very wide, sort of distorted feel, it actually helps to suck the viewer into the photo and bring them into the scene a little bit more. It adds more atmosphere to your image. So I actually shot an entire series about the fair this last summer, and I'm gonna show you a couple pictures from that and maybe you'll know what I'm talking about. Alright, and that's basically all I have for you right now. Hopefully it was a bit interesting or gave you a little bit more insight into myself and the kind of pictures that I like to take with my gear. Maybe it told you a little bit about my personality. I have no idea. Anyways, if you haven't liked, comment, subscribed, please do so. I just reached my very first 100 followers, which compared to a lot of other YouTubers seems very small, but I genuinely like looking through the comments and answering all of your questions. I'm really looking forward to doing my next video on my medium format cameras and my large format camera, so stay tuned for that. That's probably coming out next week. Until then, I guess have a great weekend and take some great film photos.